passage begins by saying, therefore, always pointing backwards, right, so we can go forward. Therefore, by Jesus' death for our trespasses and resurrection for our justification, therefore, since we have been justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ. Before we can ever have peace from God, we have to understand that we have peace with God. The war with God has to end before the war inside of us can ever end. Before the war with family and friends and all the other people we fight against all the time. Before any of that can be brought to peace, the war with God has to be settled. God's character is such that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. But we have to also remember that we weren't just sinners. Right? Verse 10 says that we were God's enemies. And here's what I want us to see tonight. The language is stronger than we probably think it is. Like, enemies can mean anything. We can soften enemies or we can strengthen enemies, but we have to look at what the language actually says. The Greek word that is translated enemies is the word ekthros, which comes from the primary ektho, which means to hate. So Romans chapter 5 verse 10 is saying, there was a point in which we hated God. Already somebody's going, no. Not me. I might have been far from him. I might not have believed in him, but I didn't ever hate him because we were afraid that if we acknowledge it, we might still get struck by lightning somehow. But remember, in biblical language, to hate means to choose something else over. Like when Jesus said, unless you hate your mother, your father, sister, and brother, you cannot be my disciple. He was calling us to choose him above all others, to love him above all others, to never let anything compete with our allegiance to and our affection for him. What Romans 5 is making clear is that we had chosen many things above God. When we hated him, he loved us. When we chose ourselves and everything else, he chose us. God made peace with us because we were at war against him. We didn't send an offering to God. We were not the ones that sent the peace offering and said, God, listen, I know I was wrong. I know that things haven't gone well. Would love a chance to make this right. It was God who sent himself to be an offering for us. He made peace with us.